Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here with my first lore-related video in quite some time. I'm working on a 2.55 lore overview and a World of Darkness lore overview, but I wanted to talk a bit more about an important story character we will likely encounter a lot in the expansion, Estinien Wyrmblood. Now, just so you know, there will be spoilers to the Dragoon questline here, as well as slight spoilers to 2.55's main story. So, if you don't want to hear either of those things, I recommend you turn the video off now. To understand Estinien's journey, you must understand those who came before him. Over 1,000 years ago, when the war between Ishgard and the Dravanian horde was in its infancy, the Great Wyrm Nidhogg challenged a legion of Ishgard's troops. Among those troops were two knights of Ishgard, Thordan and his son, Haldreth. At first, the men were no match for Nidhogg. In fact, Nidhogg himself threw Thordan into a chasm to his death. To avenge his father's death, Haldreth picked up his spear and used it to gouge out one of Nidhogg's eyes. This caused the great beast to flee and gave Ishgard its one true means of defending itself, the Eye of Nidhogg. This eye would grant a single person at a time a portion of Nidhogg's power so that they may fend off the Dravanian horde. Those chosen would become known as the Azure Dragoon, with Haldreth becoming the first one to don this title. 1,000 years later, the war with the dragons still rages on. However, one boy would become entangled in the climax of this war and become both a dangerous friend and foe. Estinien Wyrmblood was born over 20 years ago in the town of Ferndale. As a young Elysian boy, he knew a normal life, until one day, the Great Wyrm Nidhogg attacked his small village. The Azure Dragoon of Ishgard at that time, Sir Alberic, came to Ferndale's defense against the mighty dragon. However, he felt Nidhogg's power begin to influence him and decided that, should he stay, Nidhogg may very well gain control over him and turn him on Ishgard. Fearing for the safety of his nation, Sir Alberic fled Ferndale, leaving the entire village to be crushed under the Wyrm's great rage. He was only able to save a single young boy, Estinien Wyrmblood. Sir Alberic put down the lance that day and stepped away from the position of the Azure Dragoon. However, he began training Estinien in the ways of the Dragoon, until eventually he became the Azure Dragoon in Alberic's stead. As fate would have it, this boy was to gain the power of Nidhogg himself and turn it on the mighty Wyrm that destroyed his village. However, he was unaware that Alberic had saved him and fled Ferndale instead of protecting it against Nidhogg. In the present, Estinien realizes that Nidhogg is preparing to wake from his slumber once again and attempt to retake his eye and burn Ishgard to the ground. In an attempt to lure Nidhogg away from attacking Ishgard, Estinien stole the eye and brought it outside of Ishgard's walls, a serious offense to the Holy See. In an attempt to bring it back, Sir Alberic, now serving common duties in Korthus, requests an adventurer search for Estinien and have him bring back the eye. The adventurer eventually finds Estinien hiding on the outskirts of Korthus. Just before engaging in combat, the eye begins to glow around the adventurer. For the first time since the order was instated, the Eye has selected two people to become the Azure Dragoon at the same time. This troubles Estinien as he flees the area, vowing that they will cross paths again. Eventually, Sir Alberic and the adventurer meet with Estinien, who tells them why he took the Eye in the first place. He says he believes that it is destiny that two Azure Dragoons have been chosen at the same time, and that together they may finally be able to bring Nidhogg down. However, he bids the adventurer earn the garb of the Dragoon before taking him on, and then bids them farewell. After some training, Alberic and the adventurer meet with Estinien at the Steel Vigil, where Alberic intends to come clean about the events of Ferndale. However, Estinien claims that the Eye showed him what happened and prepares to destroy Alberic and the adventurer before eventually taking on Nidhogg himself. After being defeated by the adventurer, Estinien hears a mysterious voice in his head, offering him his power. That voice ends up being Nidhogg, and Estinien raises his hands to the sky to accept the Great Wyrm's blessing, something that almost happened to Alberic 20 years ago. Just before he can land the finishing blow on Alberic, the adventurer takes on the image of Haldreth and destroys Estinien with one final Dragonfire dive. After falling prey to Nidhogg's influence and being defeated by his fellow Azure Dragoon, Estinien flees back to Ishgard to recover. Some time passes before Ishgard learns that the Dravanian horde is planning to attack Ishgard and reclaim the Eye, just as Estinien had said. They call upon the help of the adventurer and the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. During a meeting with Sir Americ, Lord Commander of the Temple Knights of Ishgard, Estinien reappears. He lets the adventurer know that he is not ready to cross lances with them again just yet, and acknowledges their powers as a fellow Azure Dragoon. He assists in the defense of Ishgard, though he is strangely absent from the Steps of Faith as the mighty Vishap begins disabling Ishgard's defensive wards. After Ishgard is successfully defended, Estinien makes note that Nidhogg was unwilling to come claim the eye himself. He then jumps away, claiming that he will destroy any who threaten Ishgard, more specifically, the Lady Iceheart, who had helped the dragons by disabling the first ward. Expect Estinien to play a large role in the upcoming expansion, especially with how he has been influenced by Nidhogg in the past. There's no telling whose side he is really on just yet. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and check out the other lore videos on my channel in the playlist you can see in the top right corner of the screen. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, take care.